Welcome back to Shem's Universe. So today, guys, we're going to go over the LifePath 2 and master number LifePath 11. So there's a few different variations when you're a LifePath 11 or 2 in accordance with Chaldean numerology that you guys should actually know about. The reality behind this LifePath is that there's very different mixed alternative ways you can be successful, and you have very different fate based on the type of 11 or 2 that you are. There's only one type of 2 anyways, so we'll go through it today. So we're actually going to start off with the lowest denomination first, which is the LifePath 11. Nobody's actually just like a LifePath 2 by itself, because you just can't add everything up and just get 2, if you get what I mean. There's only 20 for a LifePath 2, but we'll get to that in a moment. So for LifePath 11 specifically, like I was saying in prior videos, guys, in case you don't know how I'm adding this stuff up, the Chaldean, the original way is that you don't separate the year, month, and day. You put everything together and go straight across. So that's how I'm getting the addition that I'm getting for this. So when you have a LifePath 11, unlike the Western culture where we look at 11 like, oh, it's an amazing number, charisma, charm, all this stuff, they look at 11 almost like a karmic debt. They're saying it's a very stressful induced number. It's a number of anxiety. It's a number of having that monkey on your shoulder, that you almost feel like you're not good enough all the time, which in turn leads to narcissistic behavior. There is certain similarities. The 11 still is very psychic. You have the ability to manifest faster than other numbers, but you have to learn to control your stress and your emotional volatility before going to do that. You also have to ensure that you don't really let other people's opinion affect the way in which you're going about your life. The best suitable careers for you guys is usually in show business or athleticism, so sports or like social media, what have you. That's where you guys can shine the most, because your authentic personality shines through, and in turn you have that celebrity status. But you first have to get beyond like the whole idea of family judgment, your peers judging you, and then you actually get to the reality of life where you can be your true self and then actually be successful. Without that, you end up being unsuccessful because you're not being true to your authentic self. So with the Chaldeans, they believe 11s need to not be narcissistic, but be very true to themselves and be unapologetically themselves in order to be successful. When you're truly expressing yourself is when the manifestation will take place. The next one is the LifePath 20. LifePath 20, funny enough, was pretty much the most successful one. So if you have a LifePath 20, this is best suitable for business moguls, CEOs, politicians. The trailblazer mentality. It's the 2 on steroids, number 2 with the 0 next to it, God's number. So it gives the 2 a lot of energy when it comes to like emotional energy. You can become very persuasive. You guys are also the type of people to bring about diplomacy wherever you go, so you can bring cohesion between groups. So like lawyers, arbitrators, mediators can also have this number and do very well. But you guys usually end up in very high paying careers that involve bringing different unions of different parties together. Like that's your whole main thing that actually makes you guys kick, and you guys do very well with it. I'd say the only bad thing about this one's not really being narcissistic, but more so being Machiavellian, in a sense that sometimes you guys are very good at interpersonal dynamics to the point where you know how to just utilize people based on their position or what they can offer you. So you just want to make sure that you're not doing something like that. That could accrue you karmic debt. But you guys have very good luck in this lifetime, and you also have the ability to heal other people emotionally, spiritually, and also physically. So even things in the medical profession can suit you guys as well. But the most popular and like enticing careers for you guys, I'd say, would be in like the independent business world, where you go out there and set up a business for yourself, or you get into something like politics where you can bring about diplomacy and do certain reforms for your people. The next one is the number 29. This one is the most like, I'd say, violent version of the 11. 29 is 2 and 9. So 2 is like a water element. It's the moon. 9 is Mars, which is fire. So they say like the 29 is like a boiling pot of water. These people are very hot-headed. These people can be very ferocious. They're very ideological, just like the 9. But they have a lot of anger. Like even though they have the 2, the 2 is expressing itself in an angry fashion because it's water, but it's boiling. So like anything you say to a person that's 29 over 11 is going to be very, very hostile if they don't like what you have to say. These people are experts when it comes to like litigation. So like the number one career you guys can get into is like being lawyers or getting into sales and marketing. That's where that boiling water energy that you guys have can actually strive, and you guys will actually do very, very well. Because if you use your anger to get rich, use your anger to be aggressive even in the gym, things like that is where you guys are going to be successful, because you're actually utilizing that energy into something constructive. What happens most of the time is people with 29 end up getting brought into court. They usually have a lot of criminal records, things like that, because they just let their violence get out of control. or they get into things like scamming and they get put into litigation. Whole 9 yards. It's a funny description they pretty much have for the 29, the Chaldean tablets. It just means being brought in front of the courts a lot. So if I was a 29 over 11 personally, I would just say, especially from at a young age, I would just say I might as well just be in front of the courts for the right reason, right? And figure out what sort of position I can get in on legality when it comes to being a lawyer, a paralegal, a judge, what have you. So that way you're actually in court just getting paid, because that's your algorithm anyways. So what they're trying to say is that your algorithm is meant to be intertwined with law enforcement, intertwined with the government quite a bit. So I look at government sector jobs, jobs within law firms, or within prisons and so forth as well, like social work, youth work, things like that, will also bring you guys quite a bit of good luck, and you'll make a lot of money from it. That's how you guys get rich. But if you use the emotions in a bad way, you guys are just using your anger to do whatever impulsively, which is what happens 90% of the time, you're just going to end up the way most of these 29 over 11s do. So you want to be very, very careful with that. The last one I'm going to cover today is the 38 over 11. 38 over 11 is probably the wealthiest version of it, because it has the 3, which is creativity, the 8, which is about money, and then the 11, which is amplified. So 38 over 11s do very, very well when it comes to making money from anything below. So that means from the legal world, from athleticism, show business, social media. They can do very well because of the 3 with that. So the 3 gives them commerce. 3 is the god over commerce, Jupiter's expansion. The 8's about restriction in Saturn, but it brings material wealth as well through brutality. And then you have that 11 there. So these are the most emotionally resilient versions of the 11s, the 38. They can be very, very cold, very shrewd, and they have like the dark triad personality completely. They're not just narcissistic or Machiavellian. They can also have a hint of psychopathy to them as well. And in turn, they end up becoming very successful in the things that they undertake by using these dark triad traits to reach the top. So that can accrue you different karmic debt in a future lifetime, but the 38 mentality is might makes right, and to justify the means. So they end up doing quite well in the capitalistic world because of that. In the spiritual world, maybe not so much, but they do have all the abilities of the 11 nonetheless. It still minimizes to that master number, which means that they still have the ability to be very clairvoyant, be very psychic, but they don't deal with the same self-doubt that the regular 11s do. They might deal with certain sets of heartbreak. My main thing with 38 over 11s as well is that you do well with group work and business, but your main obstacle in life is going to be like finding like a soulmate or finding somebody that you love and that loves you back. Usually the person that you love puts you in second place. 11 minimized to 2. That goes for almost all 11s. You guys usually get put in second place by your family and by the people you hold close to you. Like you always feel like you're not quite their number one priority. What you have to do is make yourself your number one priority without becoming a narcissist, because usually the narcissism is just a defense mechanism to what you're going through as a form of neglect. So if you're able to overcome that by simply having a healthy dose of narcissism, maybe achievement-based narcissism, or just understanding that your value is up there for yourself, finding completion within yourself. You have 2 1s, so find that completion. You'll have a very authentic life and a very successful one. So that's my main lessons there for you guys regarding to LifePath 2 and 11. If you have any questions for me whatsoever, just leave it in the comments section. Aside from that, like, subscribe, holla at me. So for today, guys, peace.